safercigs.co.uk, sponsors of the Haze Hour.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Again.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Geordie Vapor, honestly, seriously.
Geordie Vapor.
He had a problem with his headphones. Yes, hello, good evening. Are you alright tonight? It's going to be a packed night tonight, Keith.
Is it?
It's going to be a packed, absolutely packed night tonight.
Well, my mind's a blank. Haven't a clue.
So is mine.
I hope not.
Well, you never know your luck and a following wind and stuff like that. Tonight, we are going to have a look. We're going to have a look at that. Which is the Kanger. It says durable, good taste, huge vapor. It's the Kanger Aerotank Turbo, is what it is. Kanger Turbo Tank Turbo. Easy for you to say. The Kanger Aerotank Turbo.
Aerotank Turbo.
Yes, which is fabulous.
Is it?
Yes, but I'm giving the plot away. I've been using it for a few days, and it's lovely. So we'll have a look at that. That'll be in the first half. In the second half, Gary Dibley will be joining us, not live. He's going to come on in video, is what he's going to do. He's going to come on in video, and we're going to be talking a bit about wall warts and charges, because we had a conversation, and it's blown his mind and my mind, because what we discovered, we didn't expect.
Right, because we just discussed charges, didn't we?
We did.
The other week.
Indeed we did. Well, we're discussing them again.
Right.
And we're going to try an experiment tonight. There you go. Hashtag Haze Hour. With a capital H and a capital H. Hashtag Haze Hour. Tweet your comments using the hashtag Haze Hour, and I'll pick them up and put them on screen if we're going to talk about them.
Oh.
So wherever you're watching, whatever you're doing, even if you, pardon me, that's the Diet Coke. This is just to see if it works. Hashtag Haze Hour. If you're on Twitter, tweet it. We'll pick it up and we'll put it in. It'll be as good as that. So there you are. Tweet your comments using hashtag Haze Hour, and we'll pick that up. And because it all went, what's the word I'm looking for? Hairy kaplunk last week with the video on demand recording, a number of people have asked, how do I mix that stuff up? So as it happens, I need to mix some more up. I'm going to do it to 18 milligram. We'll do that in the third half, so you can see how I make my favourite ethyl maltol, essentially unflavoured juice, at various different levels, and it's a piece of cake, and there's no to worry about. So that's what we'll be doing, and it's going to be a packed night.
A packed night.
Packed night. And if we might even mention that, but I'm just going to put that out the way just in case. But I'll have a drag off it before we run the titles. Shall we run the titles?
Yes, I think so.
Are you sure? We'll do that then. We'll do it the usual way. Are you ready?
Yes.
Hello everybody. Good evening and welcome to the
Haze
Haze Hour. Echo. We'll have to stop. I've got to get myself sorted out with all this echoey stuff, you know.
As long as that bloody music doesn't echo.
Really?
Well, it would just make it worse than it is, wouldn't it?
Oh, that's just nasty. Just nasty. Just so everybody knows, I've got the show playing in the background as well, because I need to keep an eyeball on what's going on. We've had a couple of nights of with YouTube, so we're keeping an eye on it to see what the crack is. But you know, there it goes. But they are. Here's our tweet your comments using Haze Hour. We'll pick them up and dive into them every so often and see how things are going. Shall we make a start?
Yes.
Make a start, and we'll make a start by looking, I think, at this beast here. It's the Kanger Aerotank Turbo. Let me just replace things around a little bit. And this is the box it comes in. Obviously I've got it taken out, and I've got to say a big thank you to the Vapor Bar. There it is, the Vapor Bar, who sent it across for me. They're a set of good lads over there, and the Northerners, so that's all good. I'll take that off. If you go, tell them I sent you, they'll charge you about 4 times the price. It's dead good. That's the box. Now when it came, I have to be honest, I'm so used to, you know, trying to push them and what have you, it didn't occur to me that it was magnet in the middle. Such an idiot. Box it comes in, full set of instructions, and for once I was a good lad. I've read the instructions, but I'm going to save you the bother of reading the instructions just so you can see what comes in it. Though there's 2 spare coils.
Right.
And you might think to yourself, well, what the hell's the 2 spare coils for? There's normally only 1. Ah well. Let's take it to bits and show you. Right, wheel it in, David. Here we are. Here is the Kanger Aerotank Turbo. Now I'm going to go at this from the top to the bottom. I'd normally go from the bottom to the top, but I'm going to go from the top to the bottom. First off, standard size drip tip. No big surprise there. But, watch. You can unscrew this top plinthy thing, like that. And then inside it, you'll see there's 2 holes, right? And everybody's thinking, hang on, do I fill it from there? And no, you don't. Let me try and explain what's going on here. Underneath this cap, going down into there, you have a little collector area for condensates, right?
Condensation.
Yes, and condensates.
Right.
So when you if there's, you know, things are condensing, this forms a lovely little well, and it'll take about a mil and a quarter of liquid of one sort or another, right?
Right.
And if you're out and about on a cold day, have you ever? Let me go back wide and ask a question here. Have you ever been vaping juice that wasn't fantastically strong, but it gave you heartburn? This is the question.
No.
I have. And it's felt damp when it's gone in. Well, this, down at the bottom here, this seems to stop that from happening, so the heavier droplets, if you like, don't get through, which is pretty damn good, I think. So right, I need to go back to not so closely up your cam now, and I'll screw that back on, because now I'm going to show you how you fill it and why there's 2 holes going down. So I shall unscrew off my little plinty thing, as you do. It's technical terminology, this. Hang on a minute. Leanna Lawless says impedance, strictly speaking, plus inductance and capacitance. Yes. Anyway, right, so it's designed and manufactured by Kanger, and you would think, well, you just unscrew that, but you don't. This band here, really close to your cam, this band here is the band you want, right? And you unscrew, I'm trying to do this at fingertips, you unscrew that, you can see that that goes round. Now I'll have to put it upright to do this, and you just keep unscrewing I'm trying to do this so folks can see. Do it the other way on, David, use your left hand, there you are. And you can see that the base end of it stays still, right? And as you unscrew it, you get to the point where it just lifts off. And then you can see what we see here. It has 2 bottom dual coil atomizers in it. Alright? And you fill it, as you might expect, in the normal way, into the top end. Whee! Just until it gets to the top of those 2 tubes, like that, and then these coils will go back in. However, before we go that far, let's do some unscrewing. and I'm going to need a cloth, as I always do, just to start them off and give them a go. Now, there's a lot of people have been trying these out, and people are using all kinds of different combinations. This one, I don't know whether you'll be able to see all that well. Focus is not the best suit. Can you see? Just the light's really weird. There's two 1.8 ohms in here, which gives you a 0.9 ohm reading, which is pretty damn good. 0.9 ohm. If you were watching the show last night, you'll know 0.5 is like the lowest area you want to be. So 0.9 ohm, whether it's on a mech or anywhere else, works out quite nicely. Right, now then, let's stick it back on, and as you can see, all you really need to do is just line up the two bits, drop that on, and that's why it's got this little screwy collar. And let me just get that to thread, and then we're away. Alright, it's threading.
And about how much juice does it take?
It's holding around about 6 mils is about what I can get in it. There or thereabouts, but I've got to be honest, it goes through it at a hell of a rate of knots. It absolutely blitzes through it, because you've got, effectively, there's 4 coils working in there.
Yes.
And I'm here to tell you, put 36 milligram juice in there and you know about it. And it works rather nicely. Now I'll go back to the big cam, David. There you go. Way! I haven't had that for a long while. Right, let's put it on to a 722. I'm not going to go any higher than 22 watts at the minute, because I don't want to blow Keith's head out. And also, as you might have noticed, I'm using quite thick juice, and you need to be careful that you're getting enough in the way of wicking to make sure it doesn't drop to bits. But let's have a look. That, as you will be able to see, I think, is at 20 watts. Alright, 20 watts. So let's give it a blast, shall we?
Yes.
Are you ready for this? I'm gonna go fully open, and I'm gonna lung it. That seems quite canny. There you go. Do you want to have a blast?
I knew you would, yes.
As you do. While you were doing that, I'm going to have a look and see what we're getting in from Twitter. If indeed we're getting anything. Right, make sure you've got everything lined up properly, David. Let's put the Twitter feed up and see what people are saying. Zero Toning has said, when I first saw the advert for the Turbo, I thought it was a gag. It's not a gag. It's not a gag. Dean Gloss has said, forgot the Haze Hour. Fail. Oh dear. Now then. And Geordie Vapor has said, looks like an interesting Haze Hour tonight. Dave said there's going to be 3 halves to the show. There's always 3 halves to the show. There you go. The Fury, I don't know where he's on tonight. It's not the Limpopo River. There you go. And Miles Dolphin said, have I any thoughts on the AnyVape Peakomizer? I haven't at the minute, but I shall have a look. Very Boring has also said, vote for a crack-free show. You cheeky sod. Yes, and he's also said, has Derry, he just weed in his tank. It wasn't wee. Disco Des has asked for the Keith Breadbin episode. Believe it or not, episode 2.
Episode 2.
Yes, we might have to have a look at that, Keith. So what do you reckon to that? You liking the way that's running for you?
Very powerful.
Isn't it though?
Very.
It doesn't half whack the...
But very careful with it.
Oh yes. Gets even better when you crank it up a bit. Like I say, that's just running at 20 watts. Would you like it up to 22?
Yes.
Right, we'll take it up. Now this is a magic wand one.
You can try it on 22.
I will. I shall take it up to 22, and yes, it's now at 22. That's as loud as it'll go, because it goes up to twice 11, 22 watts. Just a small cloud then.
So is that the first of its kind?
Well, not so as you'd notice. Going back, you'll probably remember, a donkey's age ago, it must be 4 or 5 years now, you could buy a dual atomizer mod.
No, I don't remember that.
It's a long time ago. You could put 2 atomizers on, but it was still only 2 coils. It was mechanical, and if you were using protected batteries and you used what then we considered to be low resistance coils, i.e. 1.8 ohms or 1.6 ohms, it wouldn't fire.
Right.
This here, you've got 4 coils in this. Sorry, Nick Rush. 4 coils banging it out and running at 22 watts on this. I'm loving it. That is glorious. I mean, that, it's not, I wouldn't say it was cloud chasing exactly, but it's pretty good. Kizzy says it's a tad noisy, DD. Right, hang on. Let me again go to closey uppy cam and show you that, like all of the aero tanks, you've got the airflow adjustment here, and you can see there that was with all 4 holes. Count them again, David. All 5 holes wide open. So if I take it back a bit, so there's only 1 hole open, which you can see, 1 hole, right? Then we'll have another drag at it and see. It still works quite nicely,
Yeah.
but a lot quiet. Have a drag at that, Keith. See what you think.
See, I always like the noise. There's something reassuring about the crackle.
Jill and I have become aware of that over the years. You really need a padded headboard.
God. No comment.
And there's more comments are coming in from the Fury 79, who says, I may have already missed this, but is this Aerotank Turbo fitting a 26650 mod? Yes, it is. That's on a Pioneer 722. Would go into a 730 as well. Rob Tyfe's asking, where did I get my anti-coiling stand from? That came from at Mizzou, is where it came from. Closely up, you can't show it. There it is. It says there, at Mizzou by Atmazone. So if you Google that, you'll find them very, very easily. What else have we got?
Yeah,
Gadgets and Wheels. Gadgets and Wheels. You should follow, if you're not already following Gadgets and Wheels on Twitter, follow Gadgets and Wheels and everybody else that we've featured. To the iPhone 6 Plus and gang. Gadgets and Wheels is Chris, and he's doing a video, not a video, he's doing a documentary on e-cigs, and it's going to be cracking. And I think he's coming up to the knees, mate, as well, because there'll be some filming going on there, which is all good. What else have we got? Leanna Lawless likes the AnyVape Peakomize. There you are. And here's the question I was expecting. What does the Aerotank Turbo perform like on a ZNA 50? So, because I'm a good lad, let's do that. Let's get the ZNA 50 and stick the tank on it, and let's do that on closey uppy cam as well. So here we are, big closey uppy. I shall take off my Delta tank, which lives on there almost permanently, and this is in 18500 mode. We shall take the turbo off of the 722 as you do. Has it caught the back of your throat, kiddo?
Yeah. too much for me.
I know, I'm a little tinker, aren't I? Right, there it is. Screwed down, and let's just see. It's set at 22.9 watts. I think you'll be able to see that. So let's see how it performs at that. Go to the wide shot. Yeah, it's running. I'm going to open it up a bit because I like it a little bit airier than that. 5 holes, so it'll be noisy. That's doing the biz.
It is, isn't it?
I'm assuming that they're going to want me to turn it up. Alright, so let's turn it up. I'm going to tell you, mind, it won't go too high. You don't want it to either, really. But I'll take it up to 30 watts just to see what happens, and I shall, just to prove it to everybody, take it up on the closest up you can so they can see. 30 watts. You can see the refresh rate of the LED on this thing, but that is definitely 30 watts. Yes, you can see that, and you can see it's at 0.9 ohms, and we're going to be running at 5.2 volts for anybody that's interested. So let's go close on me and is that good enough for everybody?
God.
Give it another one. I think that's what they call a cloud.
Not often where your whole face disappears in a cloud of smoke.
God almighty, you know you've had a bloody talk at that as well, I'm telling you. That is... is my glasses steaming up, or are we hazy in here? Well, it is the Haze Hour, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Yes, I'm just looking at that coming through there. My goodness me. Yes, hefty stuff. It's time for the adverts. We'll take... God, I can't see the screens. It's time for the adverts. We'll take the adverts, and when we come back, Mr. Dibley's done some video footage for me. We had a conversation, and I'll tell you more about it after the break. This is going to be really, really interesting, and it's going to put an awful lot of myths to rest. You can't afford to miss this. Back in a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere.
safercigs.co.uk sponsors of the Haze Hour.
Often imitated, never duplicated. Award-winning service and products from cloud9vaping.co.uk.
Vapers, do you love discovering new e-liquids? Tell Dripper the types of flavours you like and they'll send you 5 gourmet juices each month. Experience new and exclusive flavours, all with a money-back guarantee and free delivery anywhere in Europe. Dripper.co.uk.
Joytech UK are proud sponsors of vapetrails.tv.
e-cigs.co.uk, sponsors of the Haze Hour.
Yes, and we are now back in the room. While we were away, I was reading chat and also reading Twitter, and there was a question asked about the ZNA 50, whether you get it with the 500 tube or the 18650 tube. It comes with both, so you can have it either in 18500 or 18650, whichever suits you best. If you like it small in the hand, then 18500. Go to close up you come, David. If you like it small in the hand, 18500. If you like it bigger in the hand, 18650. Same device, different tubes.
Right.
Works both ways. And yes, it was said in our chat that it's a beast with that Aerotank Turbo on it, and it is. It is definitely a beast. You were saying it was too much for you,
Yes.
weren't you?
Certainly was, yes.
Why is that?
Well, it was just overwhelming, is that the word?
Too powerful.
Yes.
Effectively, Keith, what's going on with that, actually, when you think about it? If you were to use 2 single coil e-cigs at once, you would be getting twice the density of
Yes.
vapour, wouldn't you? You'd be getting
Yeah.
twice the nicotine. There's 4 coils going on there.
Yeah.
And I'll be absolutely honest, there's 24 milligram juice in there. That's equivalent to 96 milligram. It's hurtling up there, so yes, it does not give you a blast and a belt. I'm not one of these wimps that goes down to 6.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a market for that, isn't there?
There is, yes. I think you can...
But probably a limited one?
Well, I don't know. I mean... well, I tell you what I'll do. I'll turn it down. I'll knock it down to, oh, I don't know, 12, 13, 14 watts, something like that, and give it a try at that and see what you think. Think 14 watts, and just to prove it, show everybody on closey up you can. There it is. Whoops, no it isn't, David. There it is. Wrong closey up you can. It's not going to focus now, is it? Come on, focus, you swine. There we are, 14 watts. Whoops. 14 watts, you can see that there, yeah, 14 watts, right then Keith, there you go, 14 watts, give that a try, it's wide open, mind. There was a question asked actually, where is it, there it is, let's put that up there.
Yeah, that's better, I think.
From Issy193, it says when Keith vapes, he doesn't produce any vapour. Does he put that in his top pocket too?
Very.
Well done, Issy. While I'm there, let's see what else we've got. That Kanger in the car would make for some interesting vaping. It certainly would. And Very Boring has said that DD is the current source of the fog on the time. Yeah. And somebody's asking, Stevie B's asking, when are we going to have a cloud chasing competition? And I see my chat machine's gone down as well, so let's bring that back up. There we go, that'll stop it from going off again.
Yeah, that's better.
It's better, is it?
Yeah.
Good. I'm pleased about that. What else have we got going? Now then, somebody's asked, JMFC Fantasy, when's the knees meet, DD? Well, yes, it's the 8th of November in the usual places. You just saw in the advert. Be there, or be an oblate spheroid, is what I would say.
The 8th of November, right.
8th of November. 8th of November at the New Crown Inn in South Shields, the Shields of Southness, or the land of the sand dancers, as it is otherwise colloquially known, is where it's going to be. Be there. I'm going to take all kinds of stuff, and I know the rest of the team that's going will be taking all kinds of stuff as well, so there'll be all kinds of stuff for you to try, and it'll be very, very good, and there's going to be a lot of people there, I hope. I'm really looking forward to that. You're coming, aren't you, Keith?
If I can.
Yeah, so Keith's going to be there if he can. That'll
can.
be corking. We need to take that video from Gary, because it's 14 minutes, and that's probably going to take us up to the next adverts. We might be here, there and everywhere in terms of running order tonight, but if we run over a little bit, we run over a little bit. It doesn't matter, does it?
No.
You haven't got anywhere to go, have you?
No.
Question time doesn't start at 25 to 11 anyway, does it?
You're right.
There you go. Right, now, you may, if you've been watching all of the shows that we do, you may be aware that we've been having a bit of a blitz on charging, possibly, well, mostly because the press has been having a bit of a blitz on e-cigs going up in a puff of blue smoke and sparks and setting things afire. And it's caused a little bit of consternation here, there and everywhere, and it needs putting right. So Gary Dibley and myself had a conversation, and as I've had with Tom Pruen and a fair few other people, and there are some issues, and there are issues that need to be addressed. The first of which is that not everybody understands Ohm's law. Not everybody understands the difference between a wall wart and a charger, and not everybody understands the physics of charging. So what we decided to do was to have a look at some of the kit that's kicking about and see what we discover. And what I'm about to show you will come as a surprise to many people. It certainly came as a surprise to me. Spend the next 14 minutes watching this. It's very, very worthwhile. And it's number 4. Here it comes.
Okay, so we're on the bench. I'm going to try and make this as quick and as waffle free as I possibly can. What I have laid out before me is a Fluke multimeter, one of the most reliable meters in the world, and it is fully calibrated. I'm going to stick that to one side for now. I have 2 identical charging units that you may have seen from recent new events. News. I'm so excited to be on the Haze Hour with Keith. I'm hiding my tools. I just know what his top pocket is like. These 2 look identical in sort of shape, form and everything like that. I have cut myself tonight. I may be oozing blood. I'm not sure. I'll try not to. They are pretty much identical in every sense of the word, apart from when you swing it around to the top and you can start to see differences. You can also see differences when you get to this portion here. Now I'm not sure if I can get down. Oh no, I can't. You may be able to see that, I'm not sure, but it's about that way, isn't it? Okay, this one is a 5 volt output, this one is a 4.2 volt output charging unit. What we're going to do is look at, well, I kill the sound on everything else, look at what happens with these. Now I'm going to do it in a safe way, I'm going to do it in a controlled way, and I'm going to do it with something that is on the bench and I can wing out the door if need be. Now I'm not that, frightened. I've tried to make batteries explode before and it all went tits, as this may do. If it does, it's been nice knowing you. I have here this is a battery, happens to be from e-cig Wizard. It's one that I've used quite extensively and it's never let me down. I've always used the correct charger to charge it with. Now I didn't realise until it was pointed out the other night I had one of these, and I didn't realise I had one of these in my collection of chargers. Where the hell it come from, I do not know, but I know it sat in the drawer, and up until past couple of weeks is when I decided to start looking at my chargers, and I found one of these. I've got the iTaste clamped into the jaws. I need that for testing purposes. As you know, or if you don't, the iTaste has a 5 volt output for charging. I've got a multimeter, or the Fluke, I'm going to bring in and position like so. I'm going to try and get all this on shot. What I have here is a USB lead that I have simply trimmed back the pos and the minus on, and I'm going to insert that into the iTaste battery, turn on the output. I think that's the output turned on, and I'm just going to pop this on the pos and neg. Now I may not have turned it on, I don't know. we'll certainly soon see if I did, just to see what this, no I didn't. Turning up on, pop it across, pos and neg, and I'm just seeing exactly what the iTaste is putting out. Now the iTaste is just off screen, I'll bring it back in a minute. So that is putting out 5.1 volts from the iTaste unit. I'm going to move that in back in shot ever so slightly, and I'm just going to random pick. I don't know which way I put them down. I'm going to put in one of these chargers, which should flip to green as it does, and I'm going to touch the pos pin, go on the neg pin, and this one here. See, they randomised this, you know, again, this should be putting out 4.2. This is at 4.3. But it's in the region of where it should be. It's 0.1 of a volt out. So it's now back at 4.2, 4.3, 4.2, 4.3. So it's regulating that voltage to where it needs to be. Let me slap in the one that is at 5 volts. Now, if, as I suspect, this is almost, if you like, a straight through, as everybody has been talking about this week, a straight through on the voltage, I'd expect to see this at 5.1, because that would mean it's not regulating in any way. What it's doing is simply putting out the voltage that is there. And as you can see, that is chucking it out at 5.1. So all that charger is doing is throwing out the available voltage, and no doubt the available amps that will be coming from a charging source. Now if you look at this iTaste as your plug socket, that's what it's going to be doing, is just chucking everything through. There's no limiting factor in there at all. What I wanted to do very quickly is crack these open. I'm very conscious of time because I want to try something if I can. I need a tool, and I'm just going to crack these to open just for a first sort of impression. And the way I'm going to do that is insert me ends in there. I'm just going to ease these open ever so slightly. Oh, that looked almost planned, didn't it? So there is our, there is our, if you like, one that is just chucking through 5 volts. It's got circuitry in there, but realistically, probably most of that is to control the control the LED. I don't know if there's any shut off circuitry in there. I don't know. I can't read something of that small. But at this moment in time, all I'm interested in is what it will throughput in terms of a voltage. I'm just going to do the same to a 5 volt one. And straight away you can see a major difference in terms of components and bits and pieces in there. I'm going to try and get this in as close as I can. So straight away there is a huge difference, not only, as you can see, in what I would call build quality. This definitely looks like a higher quality construction than this one. There's an extra chip in that circuit, an extra color. I would imagine this chip down here is the one that's going to be doing the regulation. What I'm going to do is just very quickly work out where these points are. I need to meter on. So if I bring back in my iTaste, and I'm going to first plug in my regulated board there. I just need to work out what the pos and minus are. I'm assuming the pos is going to be, let's bring this in again. Sorry, I'm all over the place. I'm trying to rush. You can see that in the corner. I'm hoping that if I get down on these points here, that's pos, that's neg. No, to the way around. That's me 5.1 in, and my output here is me 4.3, 4.2, what it is. So input on this side of the board, 5.1. I've got them around the wrong way, the crossover. Doesn't really matter. 5.1 that way, spin the leads back round, 4.3 that way, take out my regulator board, put in my unregulated board, and let's see what I've got here. 5.1 in, 5.1 out. I'm going to pop back in 2. I just want to try something very quickly. Back in 2. Very quickly, I've rigged up a 28-in-650 pack into this charger. I haven't soldered on the neg lead yet because I just wanted to get a voltage readout on the pack first, which I am at 7.5 volts upside down. So 7.5 volts going into this charger. Now, I would hope it would fazzle and fizzle and do all the stuff when I make this connection. But I'm just going to solder on a neg lead to it, and straight away I have an LED that's lit up. So the LED's lit up and it's getting that 7.2 volts from the battery pack. Now let's just see what it's outputting. I'm just going to go on the neg and the pos of these 2 points here. Hold on, it's going all over the place. There it is, got it. 7.5 out. Exactly 7.5 out. What I'm going to do, while I've got that in situ, I'm going to get my Ego battery and I'm going to screw this onto here and see what happens. That's gone charge. Battery's charging. Lights up. That battery is now charging at 5.1 volts. So it's regulating the voltage in some way to 5.1 volts. It's regulating it to the 5 volts, not the 4.2. So there is a level of regulation in there. Now let me just check on the input of this again. I've got my 7.2 going into the board. On the output I've got my 5.1, 5.2 that's going in. So there is a level of regulation in this board. Now I don't even see the battery is it's charging, and it's charging at 5 volts. So it seems to be limiting in a way. Not what I was expecting, to be honest. I thought that would just throughput the voltage it was going in. So it is limiting, but it does go to show you've got 5 volts coming into this. It needs 4.2, not 5. And if there's no charging in this, I don't know how well this charging circuit at that voltage going in, even though it's limiting to 5, would take to charge that circuit. 2 seconds. I've rigged up the 4.2 volt charger on the 7-odd volt pack. Now I'll just show you the input on this again. I've got 7.4 now. Obviously the batteries are depleting. I'm just going to go out to my output, and again this one here will regulate down to 4.2, 4.3, which is where it should be. Again, I suspect that if I plug my charger on here, plug my charger, put my battery on, it's going to charge. Both these chargers, now I don't know whether they're both regulating in a way. One is regulating to 5 volt, one is regulating to 4.2. The correct voltage obviously to regulate to is 4.2. Now that puts a lot of other things in the equation in terms of when things can go wrong. I think this one needs further investigation. We need to dissect these a little bit further to possibly look at where failure points can occur.
safercigs.co.uk sponsors of the Haze Hour.
LP Vape, the UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and e-liquids. Proud sponsors of vaping entertainment on Vapor Trails TV.
RY4 Radio.
safercigs.co.uk sponsors of the Haze Hour.
And we are back in the room. Now that piece of video brought all kinds of stuff to the surface that I wasn't expecting. What's it done for you, Keith?
Well, you've known me for what, over 20 years, and you're perfectly aware that most things technical phase me out, and I was trying to sort of appreciate and grasp the significance of that. And right, you tell me, and I haven't read these reports, that there have been several incidences of fire that have been reported in the press.
There's been enough, yes. The bottom line on it is really that at the moment e-cigs are quite controversial, and there are certain sections of the press that are going to pick up on anything that happens and try and make collateral out of it, try and make hay out of it. But the technical side of all of this, and there's been a lot of chat, Entropy 72's been talking a lot about it in chat, and a fair few people, that there really are, there's a good conversation going on. And if you don't watch us live, you kind of miss out on that part, but I'll try and see what's being said.
And I think probably the point I was coming to was that, there's been all this debate amongst the purists. But the ordinary man who goes into a shop or online and buys an e-cig is that going to be of any significance to him? Is he going to see that? He's just going to go along and use this as a device that stops him from smoking cigarettes, and he'll be using the gear that he's given with no awareness of the potential dangers and consequences. That's really what I'm saying.
That's exactly the problem, isn't it?
Yes.
Because, as you see there, Gary's got two chargers that outwardly are similar.
Yeah.
One of which is putting out 4.2 volts, one of which is putting out 5 volts. And it seems it doesn't matter, really. You know, it's doing the job. It was getting more than the 5 volts out of a USB wall wart, and taking it down to something that it should do. And that's what the regulation chips are there to do. So there's a lot of people have said that if you use the wrong wall wart, that's what causes the problem, and it isn't. The regulation of the voltage in those chips, even the one that was at 4 volts with 7.5 volts going in, the chips regulated it down to the voltage that it said on the device. Where the problem lies, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm going to go closely up on this one because, right, here's what I think. The bottom line on it is, inside everything, whether it's that one you've got in your hand, which has the battery cell built in, or whether it's a 722, there's one of these. There's a battery cell. That's called a cell. There's a cell inside every one of those tubes.
Yeah.
That cell requires 4.2 volts. Right? Now, USB is a standard. USB supplies 5 volts. And if you look at something like an Ego battery, have I got one? I haven't got one handy. If you look at something like an Ego battery that is going to charge off a USB plugged in charging lead, whether it's a little one with no bit of wire or it's one with a long bit of wire on, the battery unit, the Ego style battery unit, the whatever, the Vision style, the Spinner style, the any style, should expect 5 volts at the charge terminals, because that's the USB standard. If it's expecting 4.2, then I think it's wrong. It should supply 4.2 to the cell, but it should expect 5 volts at the terminal. And this is where Sav, I think, has got it right. And I'm going to go to closely up your cam here, because for a donkey's age, she has only used this kind of device, the kind of device that has a USB charge terminal. If you see that, you know it's expecting 5 volts, and you should be able to expect that it's got some level of tolerance. And I'm going to say it, there was a time going back ages ago where you could buy Ego batteries that were USB chargeable via a standard USB lead. It doesn't matter whether it's a mini or a micro, and that should expect 5 volts. I think that Sav has got this right. I think it is time to get shot of having to screw something in that might expect 4.2 volts, or it might expect 5 volts. I think from a user point of view, from the user perspective, we're much better to have a USB connector going into the battery unit that's expecting 5 volts and has the ability to do what both of those chargers Gary was looking at did, which was to take a voltage that was right out of range and take it down to where it ought to be. And I think that standard needs to be 5 volts. That way there is no chance, or very little chance, of anything going adrift. And I'll tell you for why. Most of the other devices you've got that charge from USB, and you might have one of these, an iPhone, you might have, well, any of the phones, any of the smartphones that you can get, they all run off a USB charging lead. They'll all run off a wall wart. And generally speaking, if they get 5.2 volts or 6 volts, they'll be fine, because they've got the circuitry in there to cope with it. And I think that's what's needed, because the man in the street can't be expected to know.
But how do you regulate that internationally, given the fact that the majority of these devices are built abroad.
Well, the bottom line on it is USB is a standard. It's an ISO standard. It's an IEEE standard. It's a standard worldwide. USB is known. It's 5 volts is what it is.
Right.
And I think we're long past the stage where we as consumers can just accept, and I do apologise for the language I'm about to use, we've gone past the stage where we should be expected to accept any old shite that's thrown at us. We should be entitled to know that if it's going to plug into a USB outlet, whether that USB be on your computer, whether it be an iPhone charger, whether it be a Windows phone charger, whether it be a USB wall wart of any kind, it should be safe on that wall wart. And I think the best way of doing that is by using the USB standard and not having screwy in devices, some of which are expecting 4.2, some of which are expecting 5. It's about time that class of battery got thrown away, thrown out, so that everything charged like you do. How many people, when you charge your phone, when do you put it on charge?
At night.
When you go to bed?
Yes.
And you're not worried about it blowing up, are you?
No.
No. That's because in general phones don't blow up when you put them on charge. But you charge them on a USB, don't you?
Yes.
Aye. Well, why should e-cigs be any different? It's the same technology.
Well, they shouldn't.
The reason that these things are going up, I think, is because there are too many wrong standards. For the same size connector, there are too many different voltages that manufacturers, they might think, well, that's fine. If you use our charger with our device, it's fine. But we need to have interchangeability. And I think the best way of doing that, let's go back to it, is via these things, is via a USB socket on the bottom. That's by far the best way of doing it. Even your eVic Supreme and an ordinary eVic. Let's look at the side of that. Look, lift that up. What has it got? It's got USB. It's got the USB signage on it. If I could get my fingernail under it, I'd get it out. Come on. There you go. USB socket there. You plug that in with USB. I do know of people that have just never taken their batteries out of their eVics and eVic Supremes, and they charge them via USB. And they're right to think, or they should be right to think, that that's safe enough to do. They're entitled to think that that's safe enough to do. That's exactly what you should be entitled to expect.
You should be entitled to, but how do you go about making sure that that's implemented?
Well, there's all kinds of ways of doing it. One would be to set the ISO standards specifically for e-cigs. But then we're coming back to it, aren't we? When they've looked at all of this crap in the TPD, when the World Health Organisation's been sitting and coming up with its bloody idiotic notions, they're not looking at where things actually do need some level of standards and regulation and enforcement. They're looking at the ideology of it all instead of actually considering how can they actually do the job properly and make it right for us.
Yeah.
And this is one of the areas where I know people think there needs to be regulation here, and I think they're probably right. I think the vendors can help on this. I think the vendors and ACETA and all of the trade bodies worldwide can help on this. They can say to their suppliers, right, we only want battery units that are chargeable via a USB lead with a USB socket. I mean, look, we're not going to look at this in anything like detail tonight. That's not what this is about. This is an e-leaf iStick. You pay anywhere between 25 and 30 quid for it, right? And they're quite popular, and I am going to have a look at it, but that's how it charges.
Yeah.
Now, me being me, I took the bottom off this morning, and it doesn't have an 18650 in it. It's basically, this is just a different form factor of a battery, but it charges via a USB lead. So I'm quite happy pumping 5 volts into that. It's got that USB socket on there. It's got the circuitry in to cope with it, and that's what every bloody e-cig battery should have. Everything should be charged, I think, via a USB lead. I wasn't wholly convinced of it, but the more I've looked through that video and the more I've thought about it, Sav's got it right. That's all she's used. She's, from as long as I've known her, she said if it hasn't got a USB lead, she ain't playing with it. And she's right. She is absolutely right. I agree with her 100%. For anything that's got a captive battery, whether that be an EVOD, an Ego, a spinner, any of the captive battery e-cigs, they should all be chargeable via a USB lead and expect 5 volts. If that was the case, there would be no problem. I'm just going to check Twitter and see whether anybody's come up with anything. No, they haven't. What's chat saying? Yes. Entropy72 said, I've seen so many shockingly poor USB chargers, though is why I think it should be a completely different connection. Yeah. Don MM says, your outside spec doing anything more than 500 milliamp, Apple uses special signalling. That's actually not quite right, because USB 3 allows for a higher current. But that said, the size of the batteries that are in captive cell battery units is such that you don't want any more than 500 milliamps going in. We're not talking about 18650 devices here where you can take the battery out and stick it on a good solid charger, something like an X-Star or a Peeler, or or name your favorite charger. We're talking here about captive battery devices, the likes of the Ego, the likes of the Vision, the likes of the EVOD, the likes of all of the captive cell battery units. They should all be chargeable via USB. Sav's just put into chat that she charges on both Apple and PC, and there is no problem. I mean, I've quite happy. I've just ordered a new USB 3 hub that's powered, and there's a 4 amp power supply going in to feed 7 sockets. So it's fine. The USB 3 standard actually allows more power. That's all good. That's fine. I'll be quite happy sticking any of these that take a USB lead into that to charge these. That's not going to cause an issue in any way, shape or form, I don't think. Sorry to get a little bit preachy, and I might even do a thinking and driving on it, but I think we've got to take a stand. I think we've got to stop buying screwy any ones. We've got to start insisting that they use a USB lead expecting 5 volts. If a battery expects 4.2 volts, at some point it's going to get screwed into something that's going to deliver 5. We've seen that. What Gary showed, just by what he did there, and we're going to be doing more investigation on this, but what he showed is very simple. Both of those chargers, those USB chargers, could take a higher voltage but still put the right voltage out, that they were rated at 5 volts and 4.2, but I think everything should be 5. It's that easy. Right, I'm ranting, aren't I?
Well, you've got your point across.
Am I right?
Yes.
Yes. Kim Dabelstein Peterson says, and spec 1.2, the USB spec 1.2 should be implemented in both USB 2 and USB 3. Yes, you're right, it should. Look, I need to let everybody know what's coming up later in the week, so we better go to that now. This is what's available to you 5 nights a week on Vapor Trails TV. It's great. Where is it? It's number 2. Number 2. we're live, we're back live. Right, now, there was a question, could I check the CE mark on the bottom of the iStick? Would you mind awfully if I leave that until I have a look at the iStick, because I don't really want to go into the iStick tonight. That's a whole other half of another show.
Another show.
Yes, because, you know, the three halves that we're having a show. So if it's all the same, I've just done a swift comparison with the CE mark on the back of my Apple iPhone in gold, my iPhone 6 Plus, which I love with all my heart. It's gorgeous, wonderful and marvellous. But I'll go more into that when we look at the A-Leaf iStick in its totality, which will be later on, if that's all right, if that's fine. I just want to, where are we at? La 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 la. Just trying to see if there's anything else in chat or anything else. Oh, right, Stevie B's just tweeted something, so he has. He's tweeted. Let's bring up what Stevie B's had to say. I do apologise. That's me not selecting the right shot. He says 1 hour shows are not long enough. Please give us more. Haze Hour. I'd love to, and we might do. But for the moment, we're trying to keep it as close to the hour as we can. And yes, I know I have run over tonight. And we'll let Twitter can have the last word from Very Boring, who says, all hail the Sav. The Sav is always right. And quite frankly, he's not wrong. She is. Very sensible girl is Sav. I've got an awful lot of time for her. One of my best friends. It's good. It's all good. So there we go. We didn't actually get to the ethyl maltol mixing. I do apologise. I'm just looking at my Twitter, my Skype chat now. If I can do this in 5 minutes, can I do it, Sav? If I can do it in 5 minutes, can I do it? There we go. Right, yes, look, I'm gonna say she said yes, 5 minutes, and I do apologise for things running over tonight, but that's what will happen, so there we go. It'll come through. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it in 5 minutes. Let's go to big closey uppy cam. Here's the bottle it's gonna go in. Here's me Nick. Here's me ethyl maltol, and here is a bottle of glycerin, and I'll show you. It's dead quick. It's as quick as this. I'm going to go to 18 milligrams, right? So we take the lid off there. I'm going to put my Nick in first, right? So here's the Nick, 54 milligram Nick. Now it needs to go a third of the way up that bottle because I'm going to 18 milligrams. So I'm just watching. Do-de-dup-dup-da-da-da-da. That's about a third of the way, right? Good. Now, I need to get some flavouring, some ethyl maltol into there. So all I do is just, and this is going to be 7.5% because my wife likes it sweet the same I do. Oh, that's a little bit mucky. Never mind. In it goes. That's 3 mils. 6 mils. And then 1.5, that's halfway up the syringe. I need to order some more. Oh no, don't tell us I've run it out. 1.5 mils. Now that's the only place where I get precious about measurement, because I don't like strong flavours and I don't like it too strong in ethyl maltol. So now, having done that, put the lid back on the Nick, put that to one side, and then badoom, just top it up with glycerin up to the shoulder. You see it going in? There it is going in. Easy as. This is 18 milligram, and I'm sure somebody's going to say, why aren't you measuring it accurately, Dave? And the reason is, I'll tell you in a minute. Right, put the lid back on the glycerin, put the lid back on the bottle, and then wipe the bottle down. That's glycerin, so I'm not worried in any way, shape or form. Go back to wide. Okay, back on the wide shot we are, and then shake it about. Gentlemen that look after their prostates on a regular basis will be able to do this without any bother at all for about the same length of time.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, I'm done. Right, that's it. That's as easy. That's all it is. That's how hard it is. It's not hard at all. How to mix juice in 2.5 minutes flat.
Yes. Impressive.
Anybody can do it. And that's 18 milligram. Now, why didn't I measure everything exactly? I'll tell you for why. Because if it's 18, 17, 19, it's close enough.
Doesn't matter.
You really don't need to go down to the nth degree. That's how easy it is. Do it by eye. That will satisfy my wife. That will satisfy my wife as well as she needs to be satisfied with 18 milligram juice. That's all she wrote. That's all you need to know. Whew. Yes, there you go. Have we got the end of the show, do you think?
Yes, good that, yes.
What's this? Sav says these presenters are out of control, and she said it in our Skype chat. She says, I cannot stop you. It's true, she cannot. The power, the power. I feel powerful. I feel enabled. I feel enhanced. I feel marvellous. He's been cracking. I told you it was a packed show. I said it was a packed show. And for those of you that wanted more than an hour, you've had it. We've done it.
Yes.
We better say bye-bye, Keith.
I think so.
It's time to go.
So.
Now is the time to say goodbye. Now is the time to yield a sigh. Yield it. Yield it.
The singing. God.
It's been lush spending the last hour and a bit in your company. Thank you so much for joining us live if you have been. Thank you for watching on video on demand if you do. We love the fact that you do this. It's great, isn't it, Keith?
Marvellous.
Thanks for the last hour, Bonnie lad. Hey, from all of us here at vaportrails.tv, we've got to finish it this way. Yeah. Vape on, vape hard, and don't let the bastards grind you down. Till we see you next time from all of us here. Take care, be good to one another. Chady bye. Bye bye.
e-cigs, sponsors of the Haze Hour. safercigs.co.uk, sponsors of the Haze Hour.